going live. Let's see how this turns out. This is very late. Very, very late live stream. Holy cow. All right. Do 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 do. All right, audio coming on through. Everything's looking good there. Okay, then. Well, this is going to be an interesting live stream because it is very late. I have no idea who, if anyone, is going to pop on in. So, hey-o. Hi there, everyone. Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure. It's more fun with friends, especially late at night. My journey tonight at the Christmas party went on way longer than I expected. So here we are, more than an hour later than I had anticipated. But hey, that happens. So we will talk tonight, or shall pontificate for a little while tonight about the newest episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. The episode that, if you've ever worked in fast food, this one should have hit pretty hard. I think I would rather play in The Curse of the Violent Psychopath Butcher than go back to working fast food. Oh boy, what an episode this was. I was expecting that we were going to get a little bit, I thought that we were going to get like we got in the last episode, where we were going to have a focus on two characters at the same time, where really this time around, the focus was primarily on Gangle, with some interesting insights into everyone else. And what is both surprising and probably shouldn't be all that surprising is that by the end of this episode, it's clear that Pomni is the most sane person in the digital circus. Now, part of that is the fact that she hasn't been there as long as everyone else, but also we get to see her actively trying to help other people out, trying to help Gangle actually be someone who's there to help her out. She's paying it forward as she's kind of learned that she ought to. So that is great. We get to see some consistent character development for Pomni this episode. Fabio, great to have you here late tonight. Hello there. Won't really join. I'll only watch past the deep fryer dunk tomorrow with my mom, Doug. All right. Say thanks for popping in anyway, Fabio. So this episode focuses primarily on Gangle. If you've already seen it, then you kind of know what's going on. And if you haven't, then basically in this episode, hey, Mike is here. Great to see you, Mike. So basically with this episode, Kane has got a whole new adventure that gets completely derailed because everyone's like, we don't want to do another horror adventure. Have you even checked the suggestions box? And he uses Gangle's suggestion of, well, what if we just did what if we just did like a normal day at work? And yeah, Mike, this is an interesting episode. It's interesting because doing a regular day's work ends up being in many ways kind of more horrifying than any of the adventures that they've gone on, because at this job, everyone just really gets crushed and grinded down. The existential crisis of working a dead-end job hit everyone hard. And we get more insight into Gangle's existential crisis, which is, well, basically a type of depression. And that was really heavy-hitting to see. And I'm happy to see that my theories about what would happen in this episode turned out to be false. Like, I know some people get really upset when their theories don't pan out. I'm happy. I'm happy that my theories didn't pan out for this episode. This delivered way better than I expected. So that was really awesome. Fabio, Gangle was once a manager. Yeah, to realize that she was once a manager and she got right on into it and we get to see her breaking down, and it's also funny to watch her like immediately begin abusing her authority and power over Jax, which, I mean, yes, it's Jax, so of course she would, but but watching her immediately abuse her authority, not helping Ragatha out when she needed to, or doing things that was necessary, it kind of lets you know that even though this is a job that Gangle would have liked to have gone back to, at least for a sense of normalcy, a sense of going back to life, it's very clear that this job broke Gangle at some point. Much like with whatever happened to Pomni when Pomni sees the computer and begins freaking out in the pilot episode, that's basically what we have happening to Gangle, just way slower in this episode. And so, like, everyone is suffering, and Gangle is trying to cover it up by having on that peppy leader mask, which she just needs to take off. And when she finally does take it off at the end of the episode, it's so beautiful. It's so liberating. And Kane has a wicked sense of humor by running her over with a semi-truck afterwards. Oh, that was so bad. Mike says real life is scarier than fiction. It most definitely can be. Fabio, literally no one else wanted it. My headcanon wasn't true. Ugh. Mike, I loved seeing what happened to Jax. Oh my gosh. Jax got what was coming to him, and I like it. I liked to see that. And it was interesting seeing how he reacted, because you can tell that even though life came to finally sock him in the gonads, he hasn't learned anything. He's still the same person. Now that we might get to see some interesting character development in the next episode, maybe, but from the way that he exits Spudsies and just kind of collapses in his car, it's clear that this guy's just like, I just want to get this over and done with. If there's really nothing that he has taken away from this other than his dislike for Gangle. Iconic says, what's up with Gangle remembering being a manager? Is that how they established it? That doesn't feel right. So, Iconic, the interesting thing about what we've been getting in the show is that people can't remember their names, and we suspected that they completely forgot who they were because Pomni just seemed to not be able to remember anything. But it seems as though these characters have some inkling still of who they were beforehand. Now that we've gotten that with Kinger, we've gotten that with Zubul, we've gotten that now with Gangle, and there's a hint of that as well in an episode 3 from Pomni, with how Pomni also says how she's never liked scary things and stuff like that. So what I'm thinking is that either the pilot episode didn't properly explain what's going on, or it's been retconned, where Gooseworks is like, I can't have them remembering their names, but I do want them to remember aspects of their past. And so we don't really know what about their brains has been scrambled and what hasn't been. We're missing some well-defined world building there. And it's important to point out. Hey, Hannah, great to see you tonight. Fabio says they don't really get straight up amnesia with the circus. Yeah, it's hard to really tell with the Amazing Digital Circus what's really going on with them. We just know that they can't remember their names. That's like the one thing that's concrete. Well, that's something that I would definitely like to see expanded on in the future. And it's probably as we get to know more about what's really going on in this episode. In this episode, though, thinking about like the through thread of what the actual plot for the story is, for those of you who are keeping an eye out for stuff, number 57 showed up again. Pomni took order 57 for the Mr. Bubbles back here, which I just have to say, popping back on over here to this moment, I love how Jax comments from behind how he absolutely hates this guy. And then Gangle steps in, it's all like, Jax, we never say that we hate the customer when the customer is within earshot. We do that after they leave. I'm like, oh my gosh. I know exactly what that's like. Oh man, the times I worked fast food. Five says her memories are messy at the start of the show. She doesn't really remember all that got her there, but nothing that big. Iconic. Looking back, I guess Pomni did remember putting on the headset. Yeah, and that's the thing. They do remember stuff. It's hard to know what they do remember and what they don't, other than their names. It's the one thing that's concrete. Mike says maybe they have to work through their mental blocks to eventually remember more. I can see that being the case. And yeah, looking at this image right here of Gangle, oh, poor girl, she's got a lot to work through. Hannah says, LOL. Fabio, it feels like I've known that since the start. May have been a video, an official Gooseworks statement. I don't know. I'll have to go poking around to see what kinds of world building Gooseworks has confirmed and see if anything's been unfortunately retconned. Because I've just been focusing primarily on what the show has given us and what we can learn from that. But the number, coming back to it, the number 57 has popped up again. And we get the creepy face from the last episode popping up again. So let's see if I can pull that up. Yeah, so here we've got the mannequin that comes to order the crazy burger, or not the crazy burger, the stupid burger. The stupid burger. Oh my gosh, with the stupid sauce that unfortunately Ragatha gets. There we are. So Ragatha gets some of it into her eye. And then we get something really interesting. We get an interesting moment where this is where the theorists are going to have an absolute field day with this. So Ragatha gets the stupid sauce in her eye right here. Oh, I've got a story to share, but first we'll watch this. So everything starts getting wonky. She has no idea what's going on. There's Gangle there silhouetted, and then boom, the creepy face. The same face that Pomni has when Pomni gets possessed. Granted, the eyes are different. The shading for the eyes is different, but it's the same weird, creepy, smiley face. There is something in the system. Now then, I don't think that Gangle was possessed. I think that this is Ragatha having a moment where she's able to peek through the curtain. And whatever Kane has done, or whatever's going on within the digital circus, whatever this smiling thing is, this smiling entity, is very clearly something that is dangerous to the inhabitants of the digital circus. So, yeah. Yikes, that face, that image scares me. Yes. And who knows really why Ragatha saw it, other than that this is meant to remind us of this entity. This is not a one and done thing. And unfortunately, Ragatha just goes stupid at that point. which leads to some of the good jokes of this episode. Let's see here. Fabi says it's the rings that got put onto Pomni's eyes. Here it's more so substituted Gangles. Yeah. Well, I mean, you still have those wide ringed eyes, like, with that creepy, just that disgusting smile. And also remember this: that same smile is the smile worn by the ghost that shows up to introduce them to the games in the previous episode. So something weird is happening. And now I feel like I need to go back to the other episodes and see if there's any real details that give us a clue as to what might be going on. because again, for the sake of theory crafting, we got to figure out what on earth is going on. Is this something new that's suddenly been introduced since episode 3, or were there possibly any hints to what this thing is or who it is earlier? So it'll be time to do some research. Time to do some searching. Mimic is here. Yay. Yeesh, that face is the stuff of actual nightmares. Indeed. Mike, so there's danger in the digital circus beyond Kane. Yeah. Say Kane is his own crazy weirdness. But there's something else. There's a bug in the system, a ghost in the system, a flaw in the programming. And as Fabio points out right here, the Cain and Abel theory. What if, again, you got Cain, what if this smiling entity, this entity that's attempting to possess people, is Abel? That could be interesting. Hey, Dryge is here. Yay, great to have you here. I'm back with some very weird ideas. Oh, most excellent. Please do share. Drink water. Okay. Now then, another interesting thing to point out is, like, kind of thinking a little bit about the Cain and Abel theory. So in this in the conversations that are had between Jax and Zubul provides some interesting insights about Cain, how Cain is such a powerful entity, and that if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then it could lead to something really horrible. That really the only reason why they're doing as well as they are in the digital circus is because Cain likes them. And I think, and that aligns with what Gooseworks has said, that Cain actually does care in his own way about the people within the circus. He just does not understand humans. And because he doesn't, he has no way of actually properly dealing with them like he should. And that causes all kinds of issues. And as we see at the end of the episode, when he glitches out, there's an issue with Cain as well. There's something wrong with his programming. And so, yeah, this is opening up all kinds of possibilities. This is teasing theories that people have had now for a little while. This episode gave us a lot to chew on, and especially a return of Gummy Goo. But first, Dryge says, okay then, biohazard incoming. Oh my. That sounds ominous. Mimic, didn't that biblically accurate angel also have a similar looking face too? Dare I say that Gangel's scary face was more horrifying though? Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, right. You're right, Mimic. Pointing that out. Yeah, we've been given a lot of really interesting little clues. The whole Cain and Abel thing is becoming, I think, way more applicable to the story, which originally, I will admit, I wasn't a fan of the whole Cain and Abel theory, but I think now we're being left with some actual clues that might really lead to that. Hannah says, not gonna lie, that is concerning. Oh yeah. And oh my gosh, I don't know about anyone else here on this live stream, but Pomni getting to meet Gummy Goo again was just that was sad. Oh boy, because there's the first person that she really connected with in the circus on back. And of course, just how everyone loves the sweet Gummy Gator with the Aussie accent. Of course, also Pomni is absolutely gushing over meeting her first real friend, and as Ragatha says, like flirting with the NPC rather than hanging out with us. I think that Gummy Goo does remember. So I'm going to throw that out there. Gummy Goo does remember Pomni, and Gummy Goo is trying to not let on that he remembers. And the reason why I say that is because Gummy Goo got to experience firsthand what it's like to get blasted by the administrator for doing something that he was not programmed to do. which was enter the circus and become absolutely self-aware. Now that he has become self-aware, and as we are seeing in this episode, especially with Kane glitching out, I mean, the last episode we saw him glitch out. This episode confirms that there's a real problem with Kane. And we also see that this weird haunting creature who might be able is now stalking the participants, the circus. I think that it's very likely that Gummy Goo's programming has been permanently altered and that he is still self-aware. And this then begs the question, well, why doesn't he act like, oh, Pomni, it's so great to see you again, Lars? Why isn't he saying anything? I think it is because he realizes, if I do say anything, if I do interact with Pomni again, and again in a way that will help her to recognize that it's really me, it's going to lead to me getting popped again. And we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. When he was self-aware in the extra space, he could interact with other stuff. He could move on around. There's a possibility that Gummy Goo has been doing his own thing behind the scenes without anyone really knowing about it. Now then, that's me now getting tinfoily hat saying stuff like that. But I do think it's very possible that Gummy Goo does remember Pomni, especially because when Pomni later says Gummy Goo's name, he reacts because he hadn't given it. And you can see him, he's not surprised, he's scared. So we'll see if we can get to that. Now then, as we're getting up to that point, Gerard says, what if Kane is simply a program that is left on for way too long and missing its exit line, so code that anyone who enters can't, and what if the circus is a tool to torment for some group, maybe be the creators of the circus? Gerard, that's an interesting point right there. Great shot. Yeah, what if part of the problem with Kane's programming is that Kane has been going on for way too long? It's so funny. So right there she said Gummy Goo, and he's surprised. But here's the thing: when he was surprised earlier, when Gangle popped up, his eyes had just grown big. But now there is that line under his eye that is the exact same line that's under his eye when he starts freaking out back in episode 2, when he realizes that he's just a program. And that is a visual clue to me that Gummy Goo's like, oh no. So she does recognize me, and if she pushes this any further, what if it's revealed? So that's what I'm expecting. That's what... no, pop back. This is going to take us to someplace entirely different now. That's what I think is going on with Gummy Goo there. But we'll have to wait and see. I will say this: Gummy Goo did make his reappearance way sooner than I expected he would. Fabio says, I guess Ragatha did say reuse NPCs in specific, meaning meaningful wording. Yeah, the NPCs are all getting reused, not just Gummy Goo, but also the Gloink Queen. It would have been funny to see Fudge get reused this episode. I am the Fudge. Mike says, Kane is an unfinished program. The customer is always right. The straight up circle eye is specifically when he freaked out. TV account, hi, sorry, I'm late. What did I miss? Oh, TV account, we've just been talking about the episode thus far. I mean, you haven't really missed all too much. Yeah, there he goes again. And as he reaches on out, yeah. And you get to see that later on where Gummy Goo, when Pomni goes to say goodbye, you can tell that Gummy Goo kind of wants to say something, but he doesn't. He turns and walks away. Now, Gummy Goo's a gentleman. We see Gummy Goo being a really chill, cool guy. One would expect that Gummy Goo would say something before leaving, but he doesn't. And again, to me, that's kind of a clue that he does not want people to realize that he is sentient. So that's my working theory. That's my working theory for Gummy Goo in this episode. Fabio, Fudge, I'd like some of the chocolate ice cream with sentient candy on top. Thank you. It's just murder when it's so delicious. I love showing that clip to people and watching people freak out because they laugh and they're like, "Oh, that's messed up." Drudge, to be honest, tea. We should all be honest, tea. All right. So, Good Cobra is here. Fantastic. Fun fact in the German dub, the Gloink Queen calls her children Uzi, Sin und Wie. Wow. Uze, Sin und Fe. Und nicht Fe. Foul. There's something fun for you. Wie foul. Foul ve. Which here's another fun little German fact. So V is foul. That's how they say it. If you put a P right in front of it, it becomes foul, and foul is peacock. Mike, I am the Fudge. Fabio, I'd say Kane unfinished, yeah. For example, the devs were going to make him deal with humans properly, but they got sucked in before they could, or something other. Yeah, and maybe this is part of like Kinger's story. So maybe so we know that Kinger was working on computer programming. What if it is that Kinger was one of the people working on Kane, and then with the discovery of what the digital circus could be, that Kinger, along with others, like his wife, were put into the digital circus, imprisoned there to prevent them from revealing what it was that they were actually working on. And if we're right with the whole Cain and Abel aspect, that you have two brothers over this company, one got rid of the other, and it could be that both Cain and Abel, the leaders of the company, are in the game as Cain and Abel, as Cain the administrator, the guy the ringmaster of the circus, and Abel as the horrifying ghost that's haunting the circus. That could be the case, and especially because when we come here towards the end of the episode, let me see if I can pull that up. So when we got Cain right here, and he says, "I'm such a good boss," he wigs out the moment that he says boss. Right there. And I mean, yeah, Bubble refers to Cain as boss without any problems or anything, but I think it is that when Cain himself refers to himself as boss, that's what triggers part of the glitch. There's a lot to speculate on, a lot that we can dig into. When I finally get around to doing a proper analysis video for this episode, there's going to be a lot to talk about and a lot to try to put into better words than just right off the cuff. TV Account says, I still believe the game was sabotaged and something went wrong. You know what, TV Account? I can see that. I can see that being the case. I think that the Amazing Digital Circus was sabotaged. We just don't know by who yet. And that will be a big part of trying to solve what the heck is going on. And still, number 57, we don't know the significance of the number 57 at all. That's got to be something we still need to freaking figure out. Hey, WTV, our official is here. Great to have you here, man. Fabio, I still believe in the Cain being AI they made thing, though. And that could be the case. And again, if Cain actually is the brother Cain against the brother Abel, both there in the system, might have been leaders of the company, CNA. I think that it's very possible that the Ringmaster Cain, the character that we know, is based off of the actual person. And that fits in really well with a lot of different sci-fi stories out there where different kinds of programs or artificial intelligence are based off of a specific person, to give them a sense of individuality and personality. Jack's freaking out because time is moving so slow. Mike, 57, like Heinz 57 sauce? I don't know. That just came to mind. Good guess right there. Drige says, well, even though the theory is disproven by this episode, I theorize that Ragatha had or has a caretaker complex, but that did not last long. Well, Drige, I think that you, though, might be onto something. I think that Ragatha, and this comes down to what Gangol's brought up and what Zubal's brought up and what Pomni's kind of a little bit, Pomni was more cynical, kind of deduced about Ragatha, that Ragatha is nice to other people as a means of coping with the circus. And that's nice, but is it really her? And that's one of the big problems. And so when people actually reciprocate niceness to Ragatha, it brings out a better side in her. Like, it's not that I would guess, based off of everything that we've seen about Ragatha now, that Ragatha is not a bad person or a cruel person like Jax is, but that Ragatha's niceness is more an overcompensation than it is her base line. And that does kind of come through in this episode. However, George, like, I do think that is part really of who she is, that her caretaker or her niceness streak is in some ways a complex, not as a medical diagnosis, but rather as an overcompensation for the situation that she's in. And when she's like, I want someone to flirt with me, people are like, ooh, shipping moments. Wait, hold your horses. I think that it really comes down to, she's like, I just want people to actually notice and acknowledge me and be nice to me. Please, like, I'm always giving you guys positive attention. When do I get my positive attention? Please. And I think that might be what we get to see when we have a Ragatha-centric episode, is we finally get to see where she just can't give anymore and breaks. That's what I suspect we'll get to see. Let's see here. WTVR says, what I know is that Kane is a bot and Kinger is the creator of the Amazing Digital Circus because he was the one who was there the longest. Yeah, he's definitely been there the longest, which probably means that with whatever happened in production, whenever it was discovered, hey, this is what we actually have, he and his wife were thrown on in there to make sure that they couldn't tell other people what they had actually created with the Digital Circus, is my working theory right now. Mimic says, oh yeah, Mr. Fudge. I almost forgot about him. It feels like that Candyland episode was released so long ago. No, because it kind of was. I kind of miss it. Jax causing havoc with an AK-47 Sweets guns will never not be hilarious. I agree. And this episode had its funny moments, but it definitely didn't have the wacky zaniness of the previous 3 episodes. And as a result, it really hit differently. Fabi says, though programmed in AI working as well as a spirit being somewhere in there would be interesting. Good Cobra says, Ragatha is nice, but it's because she wants to be liked. She, while high as a kite, told Jack she hated him, but doesn't want him to hate her. Yep. Ragatha was saying what was on her mind thanks to the stupid sauce. And I love, this is coming back to one of the comments from earlier, the stupid burger. Yes, I love that the stupid burger was actually a thing. And that was a great little tool for bringing out an aspect of Ragatha as well as introducing some other crazy things. TV Count says, I figure that's what they were getting at. Jiraj, is that maybe why she wasn't able to muster a proper reaction when Pomni thanked her in episode 3? WTVR says, yeah, I know what you mean. So to come back to what you said, Jiraj, I think that, yeah, that could be part of it. She wasn't expecting someone to be nice to her, and so she had to shift gears, because the only person who's really been nice to her, as far as we've seen, has been Kinger. And Kinger is crazy, and the only person so far who seems to understand what Kinger's actually going through is Pomni. Taking a drink of water. Good stuff. Drydge says, also any ideas on what Jackson Pomni's forms or avatars might represent? So I mean, it's kind of hard to say with Kinger. Like if we think about that their avatars actually represent something, Kinger obviously is the guy who helped to create everything. He should be rightfully so the king, the maker of this kingdom. But he's lost his place, lost his crown, lost his queen. With Gangle, Gangle's mask obviously is indicative of what she really feels like and how she tries to cover her feelings. And I definitely want to talk about that a little bit later. The whole aspect of the masks, that really, like once we got better confirmation of what the masks actually mean for Gangle, it suddenly became a very personal message for me as someone who has dealt with depression for half his life. It's yeah, I was like, yep, that I can feel that. I know that. Um but and then with Zubul obviously can exchange their body parts because they don't feel okay within their own body. I feel like Jax, if there's anything that we can currently say about what his form means, is that like a rabbit, he just kind of hops around from thing to thing, isn't really paying any attention, living in the moment, and maybe that's partly the problem, the whole tortoise and the hare type bit. Um, and then with Pomni, jesters are cute. Pomni's cute. But actually, here's the thing. If we want to actually get a little bit real about what a jester is supposed, the function of a jester, the court jester is the person who would be allowed to say the things that the king has on his mind that he couldn't say otherwise. The jester can make fun of everyone and everything, and is the one who brings truth to power. And by bringing truth to power, can give people the proper perspective that they need to have on themselves and on their situation. And I feel like that's something that Pomni definitely brings, is that perspective, by being able to actually address people as people and trying to be nice to them, help them work things out through whatever they're going through. So that would be that would be my guess as to why Pomni is the jester. Now then, is that something that Gooseworks inherently had in mind? I don't know, but if so, awesome. That's more forethought than I've given to some of my own creations. And oh my gosh, this little scene right here. I'll get to this in just a moment. But let me first catch up on what you guys have been saying right here, because you guys have been popping off here in the chat. Fabio says, bye. All right, Fabio. Okay, wait, Drudge says something I found interesting. Jax, I know less of any other art interpreting it, but Pomni has been something I've thought about within the show. Yeah, Jack's Cartoon Rabbit. Pomni, I'll say. I was about to talk about that, Lars. Yep, the whole court jester type deal. Mimic says, I think Ragatha is sort of like a people pleaser in a way. She likes to please everyone else, but hardly anyone ever returns the favor. Not gonna lie, I sort of relate. Hey, Mimic, like I think a lot of us have been in that situation. I know I definitely was a people pleaser back early in college, and I wanted to be everywhere, be a part of everything, because I wanted everyone to be friends with me. Because wow, I reinvented myself in college. I was no longer the weird outcast nerd that I had been throughout most of high school. I became, like, weirdly enough, in college it's really hard to become a popular kid, but I was popular in college, which is really weird to say. And it didn't last very long. I got flung off of that high horse real fast by people who didn't like me. And, well, say la vie. You live and you learn. But I do remember what it was like to be a people pleaser and try to be a friend to everyone. And then you get to a point where, yeah, you're not getting that love back in return. And that's because you don't have, as a people pleaser, you don't actually have the deep relationships that you think you do. And so you can't receive the affection, the love, and the attention that you wish that you would have. And I think that that's a really good insight into Ragatha right there, Mimic. Uh, Mike Jax is Jackass. Pomni becomes the butt of a lot of jokes, is my guess. Yep, because she's the jester. Drudge says King, or a white king, which has the first turn, which has the first turn in a chess game, and is also the most vulnerable piece, has had a queen. Yep. WTVR says, I love episode 4 because it's hilarious. Oh, it is hilarious. Drag the makeshift dolls in multiple cultures are there to give comfort to all, but also often are thrown around. Jiraj, that is great insight, and you're absolutely right. I had not thought about that, but the moment you say that, there we go. There's the snap. It clicks. Mike, yeah, jesters can even make fun of the king. Pomni's the resident jester therapist, which everyone most definitely needs. Fabio, while Pomni has the circus colors, there's jesters waning authority and all. Hannah, the cool context. Fabio says, therapists do tend to go to other therapists, so I guess her needing one makes sense. Yes. Oh, yeah, I've got a cousin who's a therapist, and she's got a therapist as well. You need the help when you're helping other people who've got some major problems. TV account, I just wanted to please people so they won't get mad at me, you know? And yeah, like that's something that a lot of people do feel. And you hope that one day you can actually have good, strong relationships with others, that you don't have to worry about that you can really be yourself. Gerard says, but also I at first thought that Gangel's design as a ribbon, similar to rope, and with a lack of hands representation of the cut wrist symbol for suicidal behavior meant that Gangel was suicidal. And we definitely, and here's the thing, Gerard, is that here in this episode, we actually kind of get a hint of that Gangel is seriously unwell. And when she finally is able to throw away her mask, she really does, like, she's finally like free and not self-destructive. And really, we actually see her the moment, like once she goes back to becoming a manager and wearing that happy mask, she is self-destructive. Holy cow. If you know what you're looking for, it's immediate. WTVR says, all right, I'm bored. See ya, man. Hey, WTVR, thank you for popping on in. Jiraj, but also with the mask, hiding behind the pain. Ragdolls, they get ragged around. All right, so now that I've caught up, let me quickly talk here about this scene. So this is such an interesting moment because Jax is looking for sympathy, and he's not looking for sympathy to like cause any problems. We don't know what kinds of torture he's actually gone through at this point, but he basically got a clockwork orange happening to him in the back rooms with Gangel's video and with all those massive hands grabbing him and doing stuff. Yeah, Jax has seen some stuff. Jax has gone through some stuff, and he's looking for sympathy. And the neat part about this scene right here is that Jax, again, it's unclear that Jax has actually learned anything from this, because when he comes looking for sympathy from Pomni, who's the one character who's probably the best equipped in the situation to actually be sympathetic and empathetic and help him talk through stuff, will not do it because it's Jax and all of his shenaniganery and everything he's done to mistreat people. So Pomni's not going to do it. Pomni's not going to give him the help that he needs. And as a result, he's still just suffering there in place. And then Gangel comes to make his life even worse. It's almost kind of like a blink and you miss it moment. And Pomni's reaction right here to how Jax just says, okay, like, see you. And he moves on. There's no weird quip. She realizes he wasn't there to berate her, badger her, or tease her. He's being broken. And she realizes it. How do you react to that? And given the work environment that they're in with Gangel, there's no good chance for her to really address him. And I found that to be very interesting. That was very interesting to see. Jiraj says, by the way, I have a character idea for this universe. Oh, please do share. A character that, while in clothing may be a tux or a shirt, has a skin of an abstraction. Oh, very interesting. Mimic says, Pomni is literally the oh boy, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that name. Stansik, by Jan Matejak. Mateyeko. I'm so sorry if I'm absolutely butchering that name. Look it up if you haven't already. I'll have to look that up because I don't know it. Good Cobra says it's really telling that Jax is willing to approach Pomni and not with the intent to mess with her. Pomni is really approachable and is willing to listen. It's why she forms strong bonds with Kinger and Gummigoo. She is also one of 2 characters who does not tell Gangle that they liked her better when she was sad. I hate character limits. I had to cut that comment in half. Yeah, I understand right there, Good Cobra. It's annoying. And if you want to write more, then you have to pay. And that's just dumb. In fact, actually, some of you might have noticed we have not enabled the whole like pay for the chat because, I mean, especially with the numbers of people that we have here, it's like, why bother? We're not going to take money from you guys just to have a conversation with you. And even later on in the future, if we manage to be a big channel with tons of people showing up on here, to be all honest, I don't think I would even want to make that like a thing where we will only read the comments of people who pay, because what some of the great fun of doing these live streams is having people come on in and chatting and dropping comments and stuff. Like, that's great. And I wouldn't want to limit the conversation to just to the people who pay. So that's my take. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I hope that I will be humble enough and wise enough to stick to that should we ever become a large channel. Hannah, bro, what? I hate YouTube. Oh, yeah. Good old YouTube. I had to take another drink of water right there. All righty. So let's now we come here to Gangle taking off her mask. I do want to talk about this real quick. I am so happy that we got this scene and the end scene with Gangle taking off her mask and expressing herself. And here's another thing. That even though Pomni is the right person to talk to, Pomni is not the right person for Gangle to talk to. So if you guys don't mind me getting a little bit personal right here, one of the reasons why I particularly love this episode is because of Gangle and her masks and what we learn about it. So as someone who has depression, and something that you'll hear from a lot of people who do have depression, they feel like they need to put on a show or put on a mask or put on a facade to cover up the fact that they don't feel well. And that mask can take on all different forms. And when I was younger, my mask to cover up depression was actually manic. It was like a lot of people will talk about depression as being like really slow. It'll make you lethargic and whatnot. For me, for the longest time, depression actually made me manic. And I would know that I was depressed by the need to now be exuberant and be everywhere and be energetic, be happy. Yes. And it was so exhausting, and it was never fulfilling. And I imagined my depression as a mask, not the mask that I would put on to hide people from the fact that I was feeling broken, but that my mask was my depression. And that I was hoping to one day be able to pull this mask off and be myself, be who I actually wanted to be, someone who was happy, someone who didn't feel this way. And so even though it's not the same as Gangle, like immediately this began to resonate with me once this episode began bringing everything together. And so here with Gangle, like she has this chance to talk with Pomni. She's removed this mask. We get to see who she really is underneath, but she doesn't listen to Pomni. Pomni's trying to help her, and then she puts on the mask again and immediately just picks up this facade, and she just continues to break and break. And then when she finally takes it off, she's free and she's liberated, and that's really cathartic to see. But here's where it gets interesting, and I know not enough people will talk about this. But when she comes back to the circus, the person who is actually able to talk to her is Zubul. Now then, the reason why I bring this up as significant is because both Zubul and Pomni care for Gangle. Now, Pomni, as we, the audience, have learned, is a good person to go to. Gangle doesn't know that. Gangle doesn't fully trust Pomni, especially not with who she really is inside. And so even though Pomni is legitimately trying to help Gangle, Gangle refuses to listen, puts back on the mask, and goes back to work and hurting herself by pretending to be something and someone that she isn't. When they return to the circus proper, to the tent, here she is. She's cut herself off from everyone. She was a tyrant at work. She had been horrible. She hadn't been herself. She had abused Jax. There's reason to fear retribution, and she's learned from Ragatha. The Ragatha prefers her when she's upset. And so this is so debilitating for Gangle. And then Zubul is the one who comes and talks to her. And Zubul isn't trying to say, oh, everything is going to be all right. Here, let's talk about it. Zubul is just going to be there for Gangle. Much as how Kinger said, you got to find people who will be there for you. You got to be there for others. And so Zubul is saying, hey, let's work this on out. And here, Gangle wipes away one tear, finding that she does have a friend. And this friend is like, you don't need to earn me or anything. We're actually friends and I care about you. And Gangle wipes away the other tear. And so even though she's still wearing the tragedy mask has now lost its tears. And she can now start being the person that she actually ought to be. And here's something that people who have depression need to understand is that while depression makes you feel like you're broken, the truth of the matter is that that's just you. And yes, it can be debilitating at times. It can be so hard, and you should seek help where it's where you are unable to deal with it. But depression doesn't need to be something that defines you, nor does it have to be something that destroys you. It's just a part of who you are, like so many other amazing parts of you. And what Gangle needs to realize, and we get a glimpse of this here in this moment, is that there's so much more to Gangle. She has a past. She has real history. She has a real personality. She has experience in a workplace that crushed her. And she has dreams and aspirations to be something more, to be another person, to be a manga artist. And so there's so much more to Gangle that offsets her depression. One of the best ways of thinking about this, and I've told this to my students, I've told this to other people, and this is also something to consider as an author, that people are like diamonds. Sure, they can be rough or they can be polished, but what really matters is that there's multiple facets to each diamond, just as there's multiple aspects to every single person. Depression is just one facet to a diamond, with multiple edges and cuts and dimensions and geometric shapes within. It's one part. And when we get to see more of Gangle and who she really is, Gangle is more than her depression. And the thing is that Pomni tries to address just the depression. Just like, hey, you're only that one thing. Zubul talks to Gangle as more than just that one aspect of her. Zubul sees Gangle as she really is. And that is why that's why Zubul is the person that Gangle can officially talk to, that helps Gangle to come to terms, at least for now, with how she feels and with her position in the group. And that there is hope because they will continue to work together until they find the thing that makes Gangle feel truly happy. And that is, I think, a very mature and very beautiful way to address a very real problem that so many others have. As Mike says, I relate to that. I relate to Gangle so much in this episode. Meg says, poor Gangle, she went through so much this episode. At least Jax was able to get his just desserts, though. Oh, yes, he most definitely did. And Hannah says, poor girl. Yeah, there's my heart goes out to Gangle throughout this entire episode. Even when she's abusing her power in tormenting Jax, which is fair, but at the same time, it's the wrong thing to do. You can tell that she's just absolutely broken inside, and really only Zubul is able to truly understand that. Uh, oh man, just the things that happen with the characters in this episode is just, it's so deep, it's so on point, and the setting is perfect for it. So as we're getting right here, she's like, is it 6 hours? Is it 8? Has been weeks? Who knows how long it's been here? Working not just fast food, but working basically a dead-end job is an existential crisis unto itself. When you work a job that you realize you don't really want to be in, a job that's, as Zubul points out, it's like it's just wage labor, you're a wage slave. When you work a job like that, that job really puts your life into perspective, and it puts it into that kind of perspective where you're all like, what am I doing? What am I wasting away? Oh no. And it breaks people. It breaks people. I have seen it happen multiple times in working retail. Not so much, again, in working fast food. As I've told people before, my experience working fast food was actually amazing. But the thing is I will never go back to work fast food again, because I know it will never be that amazing ever again, because I worked with the dream team that had been sent by the CEO of Jimmy John's. So like, these are the best of the best guys, and it showed. And now that I've gone back to that particular shop again, recently, those guys are all gone, and the quality has plummeted. And I'm like, yeah, no, I would never be able to work in this environment. No. So that existential crisis puts things into a horrifying perspective. And we get to see Gangle grappling with that here at the end, as she then goes on out, throws away, as she's thrown away her mask, and finally, like, dances underneath the stars. She's free, and so, like, just the symbolism and everything right there is just so great. There she goes. She throws away the mask. She's going to be who she's going to be, who she wants to be. Even though she's wearing her tragedy mask, she's able to smile. Runs free under the lights and under the stars. The catharsis of just quitting this job, this horrible job, and having the chance, and just embracing the unknown, embracing the potential. That's something that so many people feel when they quit these kinds of dead-end jobs. Oh man, it's so cathartic watching this for Gangle. And it's so sad that she gets run over. Oh, poor girl. Mike says, service jobs just never seem to end. Yes, exactly. And Emig says, find light in the beautiful sea. I choose to be happy. You and I were like diamonds in the sky, shine bright like a diamond. Hey, I remember that song. It's a good song. Good message right there from Rihanna. And Good Cobra says, that moment when you realize that Pomni unknowingly stopped Gangle from abstracting, Gangle's vision was straight up blurry until Pomni offered to help close up. Yeah, Pomni really does. Pomni is the one who's saving everyone in this story. That's what makes her the true protagonist of it all. But Gangle's issues are such that Pomni alone can't fix it. And again, that's why I find it so amazing that they include that Zubul is the one to really help Gangle out. But Pomni's kindness really does a lot to help save Gangle. It saves her from abstracting and giving her another shot. Mike says, and then an anime moment. Nah, not the truck. Yeah, Truck-kun comes and unfortunately doesn't take Gangle to a better world. Takes her to Kane. Yes, kitty? Such a cat. Oh, another little cat moment. Come on in, Daisy. Daisy's like, no, I just want you to open the door so I can look at you. Another cat moment here on a live stream. Now then, talking about this scene right here, I freaking love this scene with Kane, because as he's evaluating Gangle on her performance to see how she actually did as a leader, he says that she did everything that she was supposed to do, but that she did lose it. She left her shift early, which she wasn't supposed to do as the manager. The manager should always be the one who closes up last, which is the right thing to do. And then she went cuckoo and got herself run over. And I love how he then says, like, I can give you A+ if you just blame one of your underlings. That is such an upper management thing to do. Throw someone else under the bus in order to look really good. And it shows us as the audience that that Gangle has a chance of really moving on and getting better because she takes responsibility. Yes, she's the one who's suffering, but she still takes responsibility for her actions. It's a very mature thing to do. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm the one who messed up. That was my fault. And so she's like, I'll take the consequences. And so she gets a B+ rating as a manager. Which it's funny that everyone else, hey, look at that, there's the CNA there in the computer. Everyone else also gets a B+ except for Kinger. Oh boy. My corporate trademark. Yep. TV Cam. Well, my mom had a completely different reaction. She basically could not shut up about why my brother quit, even though he made it clear, but she never really listened. Say some people, TV Count, some people just that have a very hard time, accepting their responsibility for why things go south. And again, that shows a lot of maturity on the part of Gangle. That Gangle accepts the consequences of her actions. Again, she's the one who's hurting, but it's her actions nonetheless. And that's a very mature take. And I really like that that's there. Because that actually makes Gangle a way more sympathetic character. It makes Gangle a heroine to root for because now we want her to succeed. She's not going to throw anyone under the bus, even Jax. And that makes her a good person. And I think that's something really to acknowledge. And also, too many people hide behind, oh, well, I'm depressed or I have this issue. I knew one guy who had a watered down version of Tourette's. So Tourette's, you can't stop yourself from saying what's on your mind and you make strange noises. And hey, that's fine. If you know that someone's got Tourette's, then they've got Tourette's. But the thing is that there was one guy who had a watered down version of it. He used and abused it. I knew one girl who said later on, she's like, yeah, no, he said, he told me once in confidence, and now I'm sharing with everyone because it's juicy gossip, told me that he knew that he was saying things that purposely would hurt people. And he was saying it because he knew that people would not say anything bad about it. And I'm like, that's a jerkwad move. I don't care what issues he's got. If he knows that he's saying stuff that purposely hurts people, that's not okay. And the same goes for anyone who's got any sort of problem. If you know that what you're doing is purposefully hurting someone else, that's not okay. I'm sorry, it just isn't. And as someone who deals with depression, I mean, my word's got to count at least for something there. Good Cover says, notice how Kane never gave anyone a bad grade. Yeah, that's because he's such a good boss. proceeds to glitch out. Hannah, that's crazy. Truck-kun just couldn't spare another vulnerable victim. Not even an indie animation character. First innocent little Momo, and now this. I know. Mike, I may be depressed, but I'm still responsible for my actions. Boom. There is a good lesson in a succinct sentence. Thank you, Mike. That is a great lesson that anyone should be able to take away from this episode. Again, this episode deals with a lot. It's super meaty. Yeah, and there we go. Okay, pausing it right here. Can we just take a moment to appreciate these images? We've got Ragatha passed out. We've got Gangle being absolutely depressed. We've got Pomni crawling creepily on the floor to get close to Gummy Goo. We've got Jax getting patted on the head after being tortured, and then we've got Zubul freaking out from burning their hand because their hand is a spatula, but it wasn't an actual spatula. And then what's Kinger been doing? Kinger's been bull riding. Yeehaw. So Kinger gets an A+ for the bull riding. Oh my gosh, I want to know what adventure he went on. Hannah, how? Yes. The how is the big question right there. Oh boy, man, what an episode all around. Now then, let's see if we can quickly pull up some details in the back. So we got the motivational posters up here that Kane has got. And here we've got, pausing right there, way off in the bottom left-hand corner is Gangle's face on a poster. So he's got some of Gangle's work. And there's Ragatha, who's stoned out of her mind. Yes, because she got an eyeful of the stupid sauce. Oh, I said I would share a story about that. I will still share that story in a little bit. Let's quickly go over this. So boom, there it is. I want to see if we can get a look at what Kane has in the background with the pictures. Might have to go back just a little bit more. Okay then. So it's too far in the back. It's too blurry. I'd love to see who he actually has on the pictures for his loved ones or his pets. When I worked for the store Albertsons, I would have to at times go and clean up the store owner's office, and it was always interesting because we had 3 different owners come through, or basically the main managers, not the owners of the property, not like with McDonald's, but the main managers who oversee everything. There were 3 of them while I worked there for a year. The first one was a lady who was a single mother, who was raising her kids, very proud of her kids, as you can see from all the pictures. Fun fact, I ended up teaching one of her sons, who was a bit of an idiot and a jerk. And when she came to do an evaluate, when she came as part of like a parent teacher night and to see how her kid was doing, she walked in, recognized me, and immediately went sheet white, because I had been her underling. I had been one of the guys that had been sent to do the dirtiest jobs at Albertsons. I was the guy who would get kicked from department to department to do everything because they were always short. They were always short of hands. So I'm the guy who's done all the dirty work. I'm the guy who's been everywhere. I'm the guy that was used as a corporate slave. Hooray! And now the corporate slave is her son's teacher. And she knew her son well enough to know that he wasn't the best of people. And so the moment that she saw me as her son's teacher, oh boy. And fun fact, he suddenly became a very begrudgingly nice kid in my class. Like you could tell that everything that he did that was quote unquote nice and by the rules, he did it with the most strained look on his face. So she must have drilled it into him like, you cannot, you cannot give this guy any reason to like take out any of his anger out on you. Uh, the funny thing is this is that I'm not a very like you have to really go out of your way to make me angry and vindictive. That is not in my nature. And so I'm like, I knew what job I had at Albertsons, and honestly, the dirty jobs made things interesting. I'm okay with dirty jobs. Before I worked at Albertsons, I worked for the city of Flagstaff. Guys, nothing will ever get worse than having to clean up an entire bathroom covered in a drunk man's blood. There's nothing that I can do worse than that. And when I say covered, I do mean it. This man projectile spewed blood everywhere. And I had to clean it without a hazmat suit or without proper cleaning equipment. Yeah, that was nasty. That was illegal. And so nothing that this manager could make me do at Albertsons would ever rise to that level. And so she didn't have any reason to fear. And again, I'm not that vindictive. I didn't ever try to go out of my way to hate my students or to hurt them. Never did. So she didn't have anything to fear. She didn't know that because she didn't know me well enough. So just kind of a little funny side story right there. Just seeing the pictures. And then the next lady who came in, she didn't stay long enough to really imbue the office with her personality, but she was very much like a very energetic woman, all about the work. She had her own family that she loved, and I got to see some of those pictures in the office. The guy who took over after her was only a number cruncher. The stuff that this guy had posted up in his office, he didn't have motivational posters, he didn't have pictures of his loved ones or of the employees like Kane has here. You know what he posted on the walls? He posted numbers from various monthly reports, and he posted coupons on the walls. That is what this guy had to decorate his office with. Now, I say all that because you can tell a lot about what's going on with a person based on what they have in their office space. So someone is going to have to do a little bit of zooming and a little bit of cleaning to see what Kane has in his office space, because it might give us some clues to what is happening in the Amazing Digital Circus. So that's my very roundabout way of explaining that. Dryge says, Kane, obviously a ringmaster, but he has a mouth and eyes, but no ears. So while the program tries to cater to its users / inhabitants and wants to help, it can only observe and try to help them, but can never actually interpret their complex characters, which to him are reduced to just their most prominent issue. Boom! Dryge, that was fantastic. I love what you've written right there. That is spot on what's going on with Kane and what his design can imply. And also, Kane almost never touches the ground. He can never bring himself to the same level as the main cast to understand them. Nice. That's another very excellent interpretation of his actions and of his character design. I like that. So yeah, no, it's just way too fuzzy to really see what's going on here. So we got the motivational posters, we got the flower. I just can't tell what's there in the pictures or even there with the third image. So we're again, someone's gonna have to do some work and see if they can clean this up and see if we can discover anything. Dryge says, boss, I have to leave for 20 minutes. I will come back, though. Well, Dryge, I don't know if I will still be here in 20 minutes just because, wow, it is almost 11:30 where I'm at. Sleep beckons. But thank you so much for being here, Dryge. And if we are still going when you get back, then, hey, welcome back. All right. Let's see here. So I did say that I would have a story about the stupid sauce incident. So when we get to Ragatha accidentally squirting stupid sauce into her eye, uh, so it immediately reminded me of an instance when I was a missionary. There was one guy, Daniel Oxman, who as a German loved hot sauce. He loved spicy foods, which is weird because most Germans don't like spicy food. It's just not part of their usual. It's not part of their usual diet. Well, he loved that spicy food, and he bought up all kinds of hot sauces that he would then use on his meals. One time, he brought it to a large gathering, and there was a friend of mine, Klaus Lindgren, this big guy from Finland, who was like, "Oh, I'm game." Now then, in order to imagine Klaus, just to put this into better perspective, I need you to imagine the most stereotypical Viking guy that you possibly can. Huge, shock blonde, big, beautiful blue eyes, uh, a super deep voice. I have never gotten anywhere as close to how deep as this man could go. Just rippling with muscles, huge and imposing. And so you got this big Finn who's like, it's like, oh, Achman, I want to try out some of that hot sauce. Will you please give me a chance to have some? And Achman's like, yeah, sure thing. Here's some of the hot sauce. Thank you. So this big Finn has this small bottle of hot sauce, and he goes on over to his plate, and he starts trying to empty the bottle of hot sauce onto the plate, and the hot sauce was chunky; it wasn't coming out really well, and so he started smacking it really hard and shaking it. So hot sauce only exploded everywhere, and just go everywhere onto his plate. It also got onto the back of one of his hands. So he hands the bottle on back, and other people now start getting it. So they're like, oh, hot sauce, hot sauce, hot sauce. Well, Klaus takes a big bite of his food coated in hot sauce. And just like what happens here with Ragatha, suddenly things don't go well. He starts crying from taking just one bite, and he goes and he rubs his eye with the back of his hand where the hot sauce was. And so the hot sauce got into his eye. And Pawnee with the stupid sauce begins freaking out and everything. But for Klaus, his eye swelled shut and it turned purple. And so suddenly you got this big Viking guy who starts going, ow, 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 and he starts just clawing. He's like, oh, oh, and so a couple of guys had to take him to the bathroom and put him for like half an hour under the sink and just rinse out his eye to the best of their ability. He didn't come back until like dessert. And he was like crying, and it was just like, oh, it's the worst I've ever gone through. And oh my gosh, it was so bad. Oh boy. And Daniel was like freaking out because he thought he was going to get in trouble now for bringing this super hot sauce to our meeting and getting Klaus all injured. And our mission president, this milquetoast guy from Washington State, comes on by and he's like, hey, can I try some of that? And then he eats the hot sauce. Like, not just simply like, oh, here's a little bit. Like, he pumps it, just like Klaus did, onto his plate and then proceeds to eat it without breaking a sweat. And all of us young guys are just watching this old guy just eat this hot sauce like it's nothing, not even breaking a sweat. And when he's done, he's polished off his plate. He's like, there's nothing wrong with his face. You can't tell that this man's hurting at all. And he then says, oh, that was delicious. Did you know that I'm one of the few guys who's eaten the hottest hot sauce in Washington State? And all this like, wait, what? And he's like, oh yeah, there's this hot sauce called the Man. And he's like, it's one of the hottest sauces in America. Like everyone talks about like the Reaper, like the Carolina Reaper. He's like, this puts the Carolina Reaper to shame. And he's like, I'm one of the few guys who's eaten it and not broken. And all these young men are all like, we're not worthy. We're just almost bowing to him in like shock and awe because like it's like what this milk toast guy from Washington State can like eat hot sauce like ridiculous hot sauce without a problem. It was absolutely hilarious. And that's the memory that got jogged watching this. It would have been funny if people had started acting stupid like Ragatha did, but nah. Yep, as people said right here, like, oh no, ew, oh dang, that's gotta hurt. Yep. Let's see here. Mike says, interesting how the stupid sauce somehow makes Ragatha drunk or high. I mean, that's kind of the point. When you're drunk or high, you're basically being stupid. You're acting without inhibitions. And here's the thing. Inhibitions are good. Inhibitions prevent us from doing stupid things. So stupid sauce would obviously take away your inhibitions and make you basically act like a drunk high fool, which is great. And says, well, that's crazy. I need to write this down for my story. Yes, go ahead, write that down because it's a funny moment. If anyone else can recreate that for their story, by all means, go ahead and do it because it's so funny. And if someone's willing to get really goofy with it, I bet they can make it even better. Oh, poor Pomni trying to talk to Gummy Goo. I mean, if there's anything if there's nothing that's really relatable in this episode, it's Pomni basically talking to the guy that everyone's got a crush on, and that's like me trying to talk to the girl that everyone else has got a crush on. Hi, I'm doing awkward things like crawling on the floor. Mick says, wow, that's hilarious. A guy that should be guest on First We Feast. Oh my gosh, if I could see President Condi on First We Feast, that would be amazing. I don't know what Robert Condi's up to these days. I gotta check it. And see what's going on. It's been years since I last really connected with anyone from my mission, but who knows how they're doing? He might still be absolutely enjoying hot sauce like it's nothing, like it's water. Oh boy. Pomni crawling on the floor. Hey, Gummy Goo. Yeah, it's such a mood. Do I know you? I guess you don't. Oh, and when you I have been there. I have been that guy once who was supposed to be managing the register and then wasn't there when I was really needed. Oh boy, getting that glare from the manager like, why aren't you at your post? I was trying to help make a sandwich. Get back to your post. And Ragatha, she wants to spend more time with the NPCs than she wants to spend with us. I love her dramatic pose and the way that Gangel's reacting to it. I want someone to flirt with me. Let me pull that back. We'll play this. Make sure that the audio doesn't blow out people's eardrums.
Oh, wait, I forgot to ask for a kid's meal toy.
Oh.
You're not a kid. Oh, yeah. An adult toy, then.
I nearly forgot this joke. Man, that was a great line. I want a kid's toy. You're not a kid. All right, then an adult toy. Yeah, that's not going to work either, mate. Maybe can't imagine the burning trips to the restroom, though. Oh, boy. Oh, that would hurt so bad. Yeah, no thanks. I don't want to.
Don't know about that one, mate. Can I help you, miss?
I just wanted to say hi.
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 Do we know each other?
I
Oh.
no.
That's such a it's such a sad, crushing moment right there for Pomni. Like, do we know each other? Oh man, and that's real. Like, let's take a moment to just admit that that's a real feel right there. Like, how many times is it where you were close with someone or friends with someone or good passing acquaintances with someone, and then a significant amount of time has passed, you meet each other again, and you then realize that that person's no longer the person that you once knew. That's just that hits hard.
Look, Ragatha, where's Pomni?
Huh? Oh, she's flirting with the gummy guy. 'Cause
She's flirting with the gummy guy. Oh, Ragatha. The word that try it phonetically. It's gummy goo. There's the name that you're going for. Pomni's like, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Yes. Hannah's like, that's adorable. I feel bad for her. Like, dang. Oh, yeah. Oh, poor Pomni. She's never able to fully escape the torment of this place.
she'd rather be with an NPC than with us or something.
Well, that won't do.
I love the miscommunication right there. Ragatha's complaining that Pomni would rather be with the NPCs rather than hanging out with her with the rest of the gang. And as far as Gangle's concerned, that translates to she doesn't want to do her job and she needs to do her job. Well, and I now need to go put a stop to that.
I wish someone would flirt with me.
And that right there, that's another little moment right there. It's like, oh, Ragatha, yes, that is also very real. Sometimes, especially if you're single, and hey, guess what? Valentine's Day is coming up in 2 months. Woohoo! It's like, I wish someone would flirt with me. Oh man, so much relatable stuff going on in this episode.
Pomni, we need you on the register. Stop weirding the customers out.
But it's gummy goo. Can't the job wait a bit? It's not like this is real.
Oh man,
Next
wait,
you're gonna
Gummy Goo
say
reaches
my
out for her.
authority isn't real.
Oh, it's so sad right there because for poor Gate. And here's the thing: is that this is a moment that kind of solidifies why she's abusing her authority so much. Is because Gangle, throughout the adventures that we've seen so far in 3 episodes, Gangle has been the one who's been shoved around primarily by Jax. Her mask is always getting broken. She never feels very needed or very helpful. And she has been relegated to the status of background character throughout the story thus far. So in this episode, where her suggestion is chosen by Kane, and she's given a managerial position, she's now in a position of power to do something, to make her life better, to do something interesting, engaging, something fulfilling. And the way that Pomni is acting brings out that insecurity that she feels that remember, this is just a game. This isn't real life. And being a manager is just a role that she's playing in a one-day game. When this is done, all of that's going to be gone. Her authority is meaningless. And sure, she can exercise power over Jax and even over the others if she so chooses, but it's all just a game. And Pomni's reaction of I would rather be trying to talk with Gummy Goo means that, yeah, in the light of what's more important to one person, the authority of a manager for a dead-end job means nothing. Mike, Ragatha, me. Mimic, oh, Ragatha, you speak so much for all of us. Sobs.
Anyway, put away that breakfast menu because it's lunchtime.
Lunch. Oh, wait. Oh, dang it. I hit the wrong thing. Gummy Goo actually had the truck from earlier. From episode 2. So you can catch it again right here. There we are. So over there to the right hand side, there's the maple syrup truck that the bandits drove. So man, this episode's really hitting us with a whole lot of different different Easter eggs and member berries to the for the previous episodes. Oh. Don't forget to clock out on time. Oh man, clocking out, and where your manager's always waiting and watching. Your manager's like, you're not allowed to clock out early, but you're also not allowed to clock out late because we're not going to pay you any overtime. You clock out exactly on the hour. And then when you got like 5 people who've got to clock out on the hour, the last person who clocks out always gets berated because they clocked out like 2 minutes late. And it's all like, it's just 2 minutes. So you got to pay me 5 extra cents. So what? Oh, wage slavery. And Jack's feeling the real pain of how the day just never passes by. Then we got the Gloink Queen. Yeah, it was great seeing the Gloink Queen come on back, and then Pomni's reaction to, I've learned more about Gloink reproduction than I ever wanted to. Oh boy. Keeping that lore solid. And then Pomni rushing out after Gummy Goo and the gang. Oh man. More weird, not abstractions, but more glitches there in the background. Gloink. And Ragatha just being all high and dumb, going on up. Wait, you have names for all of the Gloinks? Of course. Would I be? I'd be a horrible mother. This scene was so strange. My mind went blank. Yeah, definitely went blank for Ragatha too, right there. What I like about this scene, especially again for anyone who's worked fast food or has been to places like McDonald's, everyone has been there. That moment where someone brought all of their kids or brought all the kids that they're babysitting, and so they just brought in a hurricane to the restaurant. I think everyone has seen and experienced something like that. Adam Tremblay says, you should listen to what the Gloink Queen calls those Gloinks in German. Yeah, I heard that she calls them Uzi, Sin, and V, which I have to hear it now in German to hear the Uzi, Sin, und V. I know that they actually do say V, that they don't just simply say her name like it would be in German, where the letter V is just foul. But yeah, I'd want to hear that. It's great to actually have that little that little Easter egg reference right there to Murder Drones. Murder Drones, you may be over, but you're definitely not forgotten. Mick says, it seems like the characters sort of swap personalities in this episode, just not in a traditional sense. Gangle being wacky and zany now, Ragatha being lazy and a dumb sloth, and Jax being chill and done. Yeah, no, the real life, the real world definitely brought out more of who these people actually are, which I really like that observation. Yeah, coming back to this right here with Pomni wanting to connect with Gummy Goo or reconnect. And again, I'm pretty certain that Gummy Goo is sentient. I think that this is the OG Gummy Goo. Even though he got poofed away, I think that something went crack in the code, especially with this episode, seeing how much weird stuff is happening. It would not surprise me if the OG Gummy Goo is still there, is still very much alive, just reused. And the way that Pomni speaks to him and how he just kind of leaves without it making it more awkward or just being all like, well, thank you. Like, it's kind of like it's as if he himself is trying to escape, not letting anyone know that he is still sentient. Because again, he's learned what actually will happen if that knowledge gets out. Oh, Jax going up against Gangle's authority. We just see her cracking even more. Oh boy. Jarge is back. Hey, great to see you here. Adam, I wonder if Jax is chill in the real world and is crazy here just because there's no consequences. It would be funny if deep down he is an introvert. Yeah, that would actually be funny to see if that were the case. And it would fit. I think that actually would fit for him. I liked better when you were sad. Crack. Oh, poor Gangle. To which to which something bad's about to happen. I love how his eyes just pop out through the through the gloves as he then gets taken back to the back rooms for his re-education. Gangle goes cray cray. Now then, an interesting thing about this whole scenario is how Jax knows he's in a video game, and he's so confident that he actually can't be hurt in the long run, that so long as he himself doesn't break and abstract, really nothing will go wrong for him. And so he's been living without consequences in this game for so long. And now that he's actually facing them, the interesting thing is that he doesn't break and be all like, what? No, this isn't fair. But coming back to it, when he actually tries to approach Pomni at the desk, and it's just all like, how's it going? My day sucks. And it's just how best to put it? Again, he's looking for sympathy. He's showing that he is a real person underneath the facade that he's been presenting now for so long, and now that facade has finally cracked, and it's cracked not because of some crazy adventure, but because of real life. And maybe that might be actually a hint as to how he got in the digital circus, because maybe he was just trying to escape real life. It gives us, again, some interesting things to consider as far as his character goes. Now, Mimic says, I wonder if each of the main digital circus characters are sort of representing the 7 deadly sins in a way. I mean, we've already had a ton of biblical references already, so it doesn't seem so far-fetched. Interesting. Mimic, that's something to dig a little bit more into in the future, I think. Adam says, I'm kind of worried Ragatha will abstract next episode. Pretty sure the next episode is on her, then the next one is on Jax. I wonder if he's going to cause her abstraction and is trying to process it in episode 6. Well, that's interesting. I don't see Ragatha abstracting, but I definitely see Ragatha breaking. I think that we're going to see the nice girl facade shatter, and her having to learn to be nice for the sake of being nice and not for being a people pleaser, like as was discussed earlier in the live stream. Her being nice is not her baseline self. It's her way of existing in and dealing with the digital circus. It's her way of processing it and trying to make the most out of a really bad situation, which it's good to be nice to other people. It's good. But the way she's going about it very clearly, according to this episode, is not healthy because it's more forced than anything else. And if that were the case, coming back to Mivic's suggestion that maybe everyone represents one of the 7 deadly sins, that would be a very interesting one to look into, which one would best fit for her. So Mimic, you've actually given me something interesting to explore. So I'll have to have a look more into that. But guys, I just got to say, looking down there at my clock, it's almost midnight. I'm going to start wrapping it up here real soon. Sorry, I know there's so much more to talk about this episode. Really, there is so much packed into this, and I'd love to talk more, but it is getting late, and I can feel myself now struggling to find the right words. So, real quick right here. Gerard says, Jax, a purple lanky bunny, purple over the course of humanity has been a color of stealth and also a representation of emotional overflow. While Jax shows an assertive side, may also be a cover. Very interesting. Very interesting right there. And also William, purple guy from FNAF. Interesting. Adam says, I think IIRC Ragatha has been there the longest besides Kinger, and honestly think she is more mentally screwed than Gangle. Yeah, that's possible. Ragatha has been there a long time. Ragatha's seen quite a bit, and we know from the pilot episode that if she stops for even a moment to contemplate what is actually happening in the circus and what their fates are, we see her breaking. We see her also kind of getting close to abstract. She's horrified of that possibility, which might be also one of the reasons why she pushes herself so hard to be so nice and be friends with everyone, because it's her way of holding on and hopefully not losing any connections that could cause her to go mad. Adam says, at least Gangle cries and lets out her feelings. Ragatha is just letting her emotions bottle up. Yes, it'll be very interesting to see what happens when she finally is forced to confront her fears and accept them. And he says, yep, no problem, Mr. Lars. It's currently 10:50 where I'm at, and I still haven't eaten any dinner yet. Ooh, oh boy, Mimic. Yeah, go get yourself some food, girl. You definitely need it. All right. So, guys, thank you so much, especially for everyone who did come for a very late live stream. I know this isn't normally what we do, but I did say I would, after the Christmas party tonight, come on to talk about this episode. And I'm really glad I got the chance to, because, wow, there is so much to talk about. It's going to be very interesting to work more on this episode to figure out what's really going on here and try to parse out all of the clues that we've been given. Try to make sense of it, see what kinds of theories have been proven, which ones have been disproven, what else we can theorize on out of it, as well as what all of this means for these characters. What's their character development been like? I will say before getting off, I am really glad to see that Pomni is moving forward. This is the least crazy and nervous that we've seen her in the show thus far, implying that even though the previous episode really left her scathed, really left her horrified by what happened, that she's ready to start moving on. And she is moving on. And when she recognized, and at one point she's like, oh, I guess we're doing this again, talking about trying to help out Gangle, rather than it's not forced. She just kind of accepts it and then gets into therapy mode to try to help Gangle talk through what's going on. And that's just really good. I like seeing that. So we've got some great character development sustained for Pomni, and that then allows her to become even more of an anchor for the audience while we start investigating and learning more about the other characters and about this world. So quickly catching up right here. M says, yikes, yeah, Gangle can vent at least, but Ragatha can't talk about it or risk breaking. She is so screwed. Drive says, I feel free to take a break. ISO, cool, I just made it. Bye. ISO, I'm so sorry. Man, Mike, good stream. Well, thank you. Nam says, bye-bye. Hey, thank you as well. I forgot that time is different for your region. Yep. Most definitely is. I always have to remind myself of that too sometimes. Hannah says, have a good night and enjoy the party. I did enjoy the party. That's the reason why I came back so late, right? This has gone on so late is because I was at the party for a very long time. However, I'm going to another party tomorrow night. So that is going to be interesting. That's going to be fun. Dry says it's 6 o'clock here. 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the evening? I'm going to guess morning? Probably not. I don't know. Yeah, see ya. He says, have fun at the Christmas party, Mr. Lars. Thanks for this awesome live as always, and have a great night and Merry Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas to you too. And yeah, it's nice to see Miss Pomni finally breathe for once. She's really grown into her own as a character. She's a total queen. Oh, she is. As this is 12:45 for me. Whew, yeah, it's getting late. So for those of you who are in the evening, who are really it's really late for, we'll wrap it up here. Again, thank you guys so much for being here for this live stream, for all of your contributions. You guys gave me a lot to think about, and I'm excited to see how many people have been enjoying this show along with me. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being polite in the chat as always. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.